Hello and welcome to the latest video from your friendly neighbourhood UCS guru. Recently I made an offer on Twitter to do a post on whatever the tweets out there most wanted to see. The topic that most people wanted walking through was how to integrate UCS Manager with an LDAP compliant database, specifically Microsoft Active Directory. So that will be the topic of today's post. There are numerous reasons and efficiencies to be had in integrating your UCS Manager into Active Directory. Consistent accounts across multiple UCS instances, particular named accounts in Active Directory, rather than everyone just using admin, which is certainly not a security best practice, and certainly named accounts are mandatory in a lot of security regulations like the payment card industry or PCI, as well as making role-based access control very easy to administer and control. Okay, so this is what you're going to need: a UCS system, obviously, UCS Manager version 1.41 or later. I'm using 202Q, I think, in the lab here. Microsoft Active Directory Server 2003 or later. I'll be using 2008 R2. Administrative privileges on the Active Directory Server, because we do have to add some bits into AD. And an optional tool there as the edit, the Active Directory Service Interfaces Editor, which is basically a tool that can let you view and manage raw AD information. Say optional tool, that one, but you'll see how we can use it to make our lives a little easier. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is just log into my UCS Manager. So that's the setup I've got here. And then just RDP into my 2008 AD. So the first thing I'm going to do is just create a organizational unit for my UCS environment. I'll call it something sensible. Okay. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do now is create some groups. Now these groups don't have to match the names they are in UCS. Certainly there's nothing stopping you calling them the same thing, but as long as you call them something that's sensible. So I'll create a group for the network administrators. Okay, and just remember to select the global under the group scope, and group type is security. Okay, so next I'm going to create a admin group. Okay, so I'll buzz through and just create some common groups here. So I'll create a one for guest users. And one for AAA. So accounting, authorization and authentication. Okay. I'll create a one for our storage administrators. And our security admins.
lastly I'll create one for our server operators. Another common one I create is for KVM access only. Okay, obviously there's nothing to say you have to use all these different roles and groups, but it's obviously for the purpose of this post, it's just showing what you can do with AD or integration. Okay, next thing I need to do is just create a user that UCS Manager can use to interrogate Active Directory. It'll do this regularly just to check what groups users are in. So again, I'll just create something sensible, call it a bind user. Okay, and again, just give it a sensible name. This user only requires sort of read-only access into AD. Okay. It's a service account in effect, so we'll give it a password and take off user must change password. And never expires and cannot change. Okay. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go into the edit tool. That tool is inherent in 2008 and is a download for 2003. Because what I'm wanting to do here now is just identify the distinguished names, or the base DNs as they're called, for each of those groups I've just created, because I'll need those in UCS Manager. So all I do here is just go through each of those groups and copy and paste out the distinguished name. So that's one for my actual organisational unit where everything is, our base organisational unit or base DN, and I'll copy each of the distinguished names for each of the other groups. Okay. So there's our AAA group. And basically I'll use this information in UCS Manager when I create the group mappings, just so UCS knows that the admin group in UCS Manager equates to the UCS admin group in Active Directory. So this is the information that will actually tie those two groups together. Okay, awesome. Network. This might be a good point for you to grab a quick cup of tea. Just take me another couple of secs. Okay. To be honest, you can sort of see the pattern developing here with the name, then OU. So once you know one, you can probably quite easily work out the others. But just for the sake of accuracy, I'll cut and paste them all individually. Okay, and I'll also need the distinguished name of our bind user. Okay. So now I'll just copy and paste all these values into my laptop that's got the UCS manager. So I've got all these values locally. I'll go into the UCS manager, into my admin tab and authentication. So you see there I've got native authentication as a default, and that goes to local. So I now want to create a new one. So the first thing I need to do is create my LDAP provider. So that'll be the IP address of my Active Directory server, which is 10.10.6.126. Okay, this is the distinguished name of my bind user that I've just cut and pasted from my domain controller. So I'll pop that in there. The base distinguished name, that's the actual organizational unit that contains all these values. So that's my UCS demo. Now for my filter, I actually need a value that was attributed to the bind user account. So again, if you just have a look at the properties of the bind user account, you'll see this value in there, which you need to put in as the filter. And the password that was associated with our bind user. Okay, just say next to that. So a couple of values just to change here. I want to just change that group authentication to enable and the group recursions to recursive. Okay, and remember of we can leave. Okay, so is that AD defined? So the next thing we'll do is define our provider group. And so there's our AD that we've already defined. So we'll just give it a name. So AD's as good as any. And we'll just add in our domain controller into our provider group. Obviously, if you had multiple ADs, you could just specify multiple entries here. Okay, so there's our provider group there. Okay, so now we'll specify our group mappings. So this will tie the groups in UCS to the groups in Active Directory. So this is where we'll need to cut and paste those distinguished names that we took from our domain controller's ASDI edit. So we'll just go through them top down. And again, what you see here, I've mapped to the default groups here, but obviously you can create your own roles as your circumstances permit. Okay, so just carry on mapping these. So our admin group obviously maps to admin. And our guest, which will just have read-only access. Which is default, so you don't have to tick any boxes for read-only. Okay, our network administrator. Okay. And our operations user. Okay, almost there. That's the one for our security and our storage. So again, this isn't to say that you would have, half a dozen administrators all administering various aspects of the UCS environment, but certainly you could have if that was what you wanted to do. Okay, so there's all our mappings in. Okay, so next thing we need to do is add our authentication domain for our Active Directory. So you can see our native authentication is local by default. So we'll add one in, we'll call it Active Directory. So this is the options you actually see when you first log into the UCS. You'll see a little drop down box with this option if you want to do a LDAP authentication. So we'll just call that Active Directory and we'll specify LDAP. And our provider group, what we created earlier, AD, and we'll say OK to that. Okay. Okay, so that is all the UCS work required. So last thing to do is just create some accounts in AD. So I've just created an account for each group. So UCS network, put that in the UCS network group. Our storage admin, we'll pop him in the UCS storage group. Our administrator. Okay, and lastly our guest. Okay, so that is all there is to it. So just a quick test. So if I just log out of my UCS manager here, and pop back in, I should see an additional option. Okay, so under domain, there's my default native, but now you see I've got that Active Directory option. So if I log in as one of my Active Directory users, so let's just pick our AD guest account. So once this logs in, I should only have read-only access to everything. So let's just do a quick test of who I am. So I'm now a remotely authenticated user. And there's just a little bit of a lag on the VPN here, but there it goes. Okay, and you can see that I'm a read-only, logged in via Active Directory, and I've got read-only rights. So can't create a VLAN and can't create a vSAN, and certainly shouldn't be able to create a service profile. No. Okay, so guest access successful. So again, that guest account may be a first line help desk. So I guess you wouldn't necessarily use the guest there. You just use their Active Directory account. Okay, so it's now going as our network administrator. Again, Active Directory. And let's see what we can do here. Okay, so let's just confirm my account. Come on. Okay. Okay, so again you can see I'm authenticated via Active Directory and now have the network role. So just to prove that, I should now be able to create a VLAN, which I can, but shouldn't be able to create a vSAN or do anything non-networky. Okay, so let's pop out again, and I'll just go back in as my storage administrator. Okay, and just confirm I've got the rights I think I should have. Again, remotely authenticated user. Okay, so I can see there I'm authenticated via Active Directory and have got the storage privilege. And there we go. So again, let's just try and do something networky. So can't create a VLAN, but now certainly should be able to create a vSAN, which I can. Okay, and obviously if you wanted to use this in conjunction with a multi-tenanted environment, or if you wanted to have a particular role to a particular batch of service profiles, obviously you would just use these roles in conjunction with locales. Okay, let's just try the last one, our administrator, authenticated via Active Directory. And I should be able to do anything our local admin can do. So yeah, I can create vSANs. I can create VLANs. So you get the point. It looks like our admin privileges are working. Now we'll just make sure we get the tick in the admin box. When my VPN decides to refresh. Okay, and there we go, admin. Okay, well that about covers it for this post. So hope you've learned the quick and easy way to set up LDAP integration for your Cisco UCS. As you can see there, it's pretty straightforward and works really well. And thanks very much, and I'll speak to you soon.